Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 302 of the Constantly Calibrating podcast. As always, I am your host, Josh Silverman, joined by my co-host, Justin Stanley.
Yo.
Joining us this week, we have Aaron Linde, if I'm getting this correct, programming producer for Dreamhack. Right, Aaron?
That is correct, among many other things.
Yeah, program producer, I got from your Twitter, and our buddy Kevin, who brought you to us for this show, listed influencer management. It seems like you have a lot of hats with Dreamhack.
I do indeed. You know, programming producers kind of vague.
I would say a little bit. So tell people a little bit about yourself and what you do with Dreamhack, if you don't mind, to start us off.
So pretty much anything that has to do with content is something that I handle. So anything from panels to cosplay to streamers to tabletop games to indie developers. There's a lot of the show floor from a content perspective that I handle and help support. So me and my team do a lot. I specifically manage a lot of the streaming relationships, and so that's why I'm an influencer manager and help support a lot of that. I also do just programming, like building out different things, like for instance, a rock paper scissors tournament that is actually happening, and yes, that's real. So I do a lot of interaction and fun stuff as well. It really depends on what our goals are and what we're looking to achieve for that event specifically.
So pretty much, if it falls under the broad topic of programming, you and your team are the ones putting it together.
Yep, pretty much.
All right, yeah. So so we know you from I believe it was DreamHack Austin last year, because myself and another a member of our team, Blake, and a few other people attended, and we did the first two ever live panel podcasts of Constantly Calibrating at DreamHack Austin. So
which was awesome.
It was awesome. We had a blast. It was a good experience learning the ropes of how to do a podcast in that format. Definitely learn some tricks for doing it at future events from that experience. So it was a good introduction to that space. So how do you go about essentially? Again, this is programming is such a broad topic. How do you go about building that programming schedule for like an individual DreamHack event? Because you guys put on a lot of events every year.
Yeah, I mean, we have 3 in North America, 2 over in Sweden, 1 in Montreal, and then a bunch of other events as well. So yes, quite a few events. Right now, I'm actually planning for Sweden and Atlanta, as well as Anaheim. So I mean, we have 3 different events, but literally 2 months apart within a span. So it's a lot of content in general.
I can't even fathom. I'm just trying to wrap my head around just the fact of I'm planning to I'm planning to attend PAX South and then DreamHack Anaheim, and I'm like, that's a lot. And then you're talking about 1 international and 2 North American events that you're literally handling all the programming for a 2 to 3 month span. That's just
So a lot of planning is 6 months out most times. So while we're working on stuff, some things come to fruition literally a month prior, and then some things come to fruition 6 months prior. So you have things in various different stages of progress, I'll say. So there's some things I want to talk about. There's some things I can't, because just various different things that are happening. But for instance, charity initiatives that we have going on. So I'll have a conversation with for instance, Gamers Outreach, but I'll also be talking to Extra Life, and I'll be talking to Children's Hospital and Miracle Network, and have all those conversations going at the same time, so that if one of them actually starts to gain traction, then we'll run with that. Right. So you actually have to have a lot of different things going on in pokers in the fire, if you will, in order to have different conversations being highlighted. As you mentioned, Kevin, I'm talking with Kevin about multiple different programming things that we're going to be doing, a lot of different ways to collaborate and stuff that we're going to be talking about. So I guess the real short of it is just start somewhere and start going a direction is the best way that I know how to do anything, because that's just really what you have to do. I mean, you have to have a goal and a vision and a mindset of where you're going to go, and just start building from there.
I mean, it makes total sense. I mean, with something as large and free form as this kind of thing, and again, doing multiple events at once, it's kind of just, pick your puzzle, pick your problem, pick your non-problem, and just jump in. I imagine,
right.
There's no real other way to do it. So, how did you originally? What's your? I guess you could say, like, what's your history, your journey in the gaming industry? What led you to getting involved with Dreamhack? Where's this journey start, I guess?
That's a story in of itself.
I'll take a story.
We have time.
So,
do we?
I started out actually at Costco, and there's a reason why I'm going to go into this. So I have to. There's two sides to this story, right? There's my corporate side, and then there's my event side. So I started out at Costco back when I was 18, and that's actually where I met my wife. And I started looking. This was many years ago, like 15 years ago almost, where I was like really interested in gaming, and I was a gamer. I played WoW since vanilla. I really liked it, and so I started looking at ways to give back and started volunteering. And so I volunteered at a couple different conventions, one of them being SakuraCon. And at SakuraCon, I started at the very bottom of the totem pole with panels, and did just as a panel moderator, and was actually running my own panels for a little while. My panels actually became relatively successful, which is very surprising to me at the time. And so I then progressed into like, okay, well, what else can I do? I then became the assistant panels coordinator and started helping produce and program the panels for them, which it was a nightmare in of itself, because you have, I think it was 15 panel rooms and anywhere from 17 to 20 different panels going on in those panel rooms at a given time throughout the day. And so you actually had to negotiate and plan a lot of stuff out. And that's where I started really looking at, okay, what else can I do? How can I improve this process? And I actually helped them build a database on how to actually manage all their panels and the content and people. Because at the time I was working in sales, because I had moved over from Costco and went over into corporate sales. And so I was actually a solution salesperson, helping clients from an IT standpoint, doing a bunch of, high-end solutions with VMware and, databases and stuff like that. So I was constantly immersed in that technology world. So that I had a technology mindset, and I've been building computers since, I was 12.
Sure.
So for me, that was like kind of okay, how do we build technology into this? And then from SakuraCon, I jumped over to Extra Life, and I started working with Extra Life heavily, and then also started working in conjunction with the Microsoft stores and 343. And so I then met up with another buddy of mine. His name's Kyle. And from while that was happening, still in the corporate world, still doing that stuff, I then jumped from that going into IT, and then started doing actual help desk stuff while this was all transitioning. We actually built out the Microsoft Halo Sundays, and started that for them nationally, working with all of the PMs from across all of the stores, doing tournaments for them every Sunday. We also did Rocket League across the United States. We also did Hearthstone across the United States. So I actually had national tournaments going on, and that's actually where a lot of the stuff started kicking off with them, because they realized they needed gaming experts. They had gaming experts, but they didn't really have gaming experts. And so at that time, we went and pitched an idea to Microsoft and said, hey, this is what we're doing. We're doing a lot of charity stuff with Extra Life inside your stores already. We're starting all these these national tournaments and stuff. Would you guys like to do this? And they said, no, we're already planning on doing something like that. 6 months later, they came out with the gaming hand, or the gaming people inside their stores.
Oh, yeah.
And so at that time, me and the team kind of stepped away from that. We actually started doing our own lands, got involved with LandFest, Actually helped run a lot of the LandFest stuff. And then while I was running a bunch of stuff at LandFest, actually producing tournaments and things like that, I got approached by Dreamhack and said, "Hey, we see you're doing cool stuff. We want you to do cool stuff for us." And I was like, "Okay."
So around what year was that?
2017.
Okay.
So by this time I had probably been in the gaming world and doing gaming events for around 6 to 8 years ish, like roughly, because I'd been always doing various different things and in different and I'm leaving a lot of stuff out. I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but at that point, the one of the major reasons why Dreamhack actually wanted me is because randomly I decided on a whim, someone donated two sticks of 8 gigs of RAM that were used. And so I ran a rock, paper, scissors tournament literally right then and there with all of the attendees, which there was 500 attendees there, for 2 sticks of used RAM. And everyone got up. It was the most amazing thing ever, because I'm shoutcasting it while this is happening, and everyone's just like, "What is happening right now?" As I'm shoutcasting rock, paper, scissors for 2 sticks of used RAM. But the volunteer coordinator saw me and was like, "Holy cow, we need you running activities." And I was like, "Sure, why not?" And so I started volunteering with Dreamhack, and they asked me to come over, and so I built out panels for them because they'd never done panels before. I built out their cosplay because they'd never really done cosplay before in the US, mind you. Mm-hmm. I built out their attendee engagement, and I actually started this thing called the Faction Hub. And I designed and built 4 factions for Dreamhack that are now still ongoing today, and we're continuing to progress and build those out even more. I started looking into other ways to actually get people to move around the festival a little bit more and build out the experience overall. And then my boss came on board to Dreamhack and said, "Hey, I see you're doing this stuff. I need you to come work for me, because I see all the stuff that you're doing. I want to take you up to the next level and actually hire you to do this." And I was like, "Okay."
Not
and
bad.
Then lo and behold, while that happened, I got let go of my corporate job, where I was actually the director of global procurement for, which is a whole other section of my life, because while I was doing all these events, I was also doing corporate work. So this was in tandem with all the stuff that I was doing. I was building out Dreamhack and doing all this. And so that's actually what progressed me into where I am today, of running all the stuff that I am. And then 2017, I actually took over the stream studio, and then started building that out. And that's kind of been my baby, because I'm really passionate about giving back to the community, and then building that, and then building knowledge base, and being more of a community and a family than anything else. So yeah, that's like, as a short version, that's been my journey.
I mean, it's not a bad journey to get to where you are, and just the opportunities, and just like the different ways you grew in the industry. Let's talk though. You said the stream studio, stream space is your baby. So tell me a little bit about that initiative and what you do with that, because last year I had the opportunity to stream from it at Dreamhack Austin, which was a blast. I'd never looked into doing like a live streaming thing from the show floor. It was nothing I'd ever really thought about, but when the opportunity presented itself, I thought, well, let's see what this is like, and it was a really cool thing. Even though I think I kept trying to semi-interview the random other streamers around me, which some enjoyed, some did not. It's a very interesting. But so tell me a little bit about your baby then.
I will say that it's changed since you last were there.
Yeah.
Quite significantly. So a couple things that I realized, because I actually taught myself how to stream. Like, I haven't asked for help. I went and did a bunch of YouTube searching and a bunch of other stuff, and really am methodical about how I approach this, because I wanted to understand streaming from its base level all the way up to where top end streamers are doing and what they're doing when it's sound quality, video quality, all that, right? And I found some challenges with that, one of them being audio. It was a massive challenge, because on the show floor, the main problem that you get is a lot of background noise.
Oh yeah.
And so That's almost zero now. I won't say it's completely cut out, but I went and partnered with a little company called GoXLR and pulled in all of their units to our stream studio because I saw the value in them, and I convinced them that, hey, you should just, give me these units so I can show them off. So we actually have 20 units that now sit with us in the stream studio every event, and we that's what runs all of our audio processing. So they've been phenomenal to work with, but it's little things like that, right? So when I say, it's my baby, I mean, it's like I look at every detail when it comes to the stream studio. I look at how the camera's positioned, how the monitors are positioned, how the desk is positioned, the mouse, the keyboard, the headset, like what they're going to be doing when they come sit down, what the feel is of it, where the level of the chair is, where the level of the tables are, where everything's placed on the desk, what the Stream Deck does, the profile on the Stream Deck, the profile on the Go XLR. So I know how to set up everything from start to finish on all of our equipment, specifically because I want to make sure that when the streamer walks in and sits down, it's as close to as if they're sitting down at home as I can make it. So that way, it's a very comfortable experience.
Well, I mean, that way, whatever streamer comes in can just pretty much all they have to worry about is, did I bring my profile and or whatever thing, and okay, let's just start. I mean,
yeah,
a smooth of transition.
There's even stuff like that I'm working on too. Like, how do I make that easier? Right? How do I get people to log in early ahead of time and then get their profile set up so they just come in and start? Mm-hmm. So it's really I try to think of everything when it comes to that zone. From start to finish, and so it allows me to be a lot more hands-on, which is what I enjoy. I like being hands-on and knowing the technology and knowing what's going on there and being able to understand and talk coherently to the people that are coming in, and also train them if they want to learn on anything that we have.
I mean, that's actually my favorite thing about it is even the early version, as you're saying, for like last year, even before you started adding more of these aspects, was the fact that it felt like the setup, and it felt like the people who you have volunteering and working the area like know this stuff so well that they were willing to help the streamers coming in like have a better understanding of this, like their new setup that wasn't their setup kind of thing. That ability to essentially, as you said, like to train people, give them a better understanding. I think that's the most interesting part of it all.
And I mean, we've actually expanded on that even further to where we actually have 5 stations that are dedicated to training and boot camp, where we will train people on the technology, train them on how to stream, train them on, the different aspects of streaming. If they want to get better at audio, like we'll teach them audio. If they want to get better at overlays and OBS, we'll teach them that. So I've taken it to the next level of introducing training from the team's perspective to where everyone on the Stream Studio team is technical enough to train in the very basics of everything that is streaming.
Awesome. I mean, again, it's just keeping people, helping people be knowledgeable of their craft and stuff like that. I think that's just one of my favorite aspects of this, just to devote resources to that instead of it just being, hey, come stream in our space. It's like, hey, come stream in our space, and, we have a little area set up so you can maybe learn a thing or two.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with that. You guys have I think a newish or newer ambassador program, correct?
Influencer program?
Yeah, if it's the influencer, the note I had was this ambassador program. So if that's the same thing.
Yeah. So in conjunction with everything else I'm doing, I also launched an influencer program. And like I said, I really care about giving back to the community. And so what I've done is I really looked at all aspects of how a program should be done. And on top of that, I went out and actually talked with a lot of influencers about it prior to doing anything and said, hey, what would you find valuable in an actual program? Like, do you find it working with us? Because our main thing is we need to sell tickets, right? That's how we make a lot of our money, is selling tickets. So my question is, what can we do to help incentivize you to sell tickets? Right. And so one of the things that came out was hard, cold cash, right? Give me cash, give me something like tangible. and then also give me something for my community. So that's essentially what we did. We made it so that there's a 4 main tier process with a couple micro tiers where each tier is actually rewarded. So once you hit a certain dollar amount, you're directly rewarded with money. Like there's no, you like literally get money, and then your community gets initiatives too. So you get higher discounts, you get community perks. And as you grow up inside the tiers, you get more. So you potentially have the ability to make $5,100 off this program if you do it right. Sure. So it's work. I'm not going to say it's not, but it also is as much or as little work as you want to put into it. And so I'm testing it out right now with about 7 influencers. And when I say influencers, I don't mean just streamers. I mean influencers. I'm talking people from Facebook, cosplayers, Mixer, Twitch, YouTube, all of it, right? So I'm looking at the full gamut of people to really maximize our impact to the community as a whole.
So you're testing it out right now. How did you go about selecting your people you're testing it with, and should this, you continue with it, what's your plan for bringing other people in this program?
So we selected them based off the people coming to Atlanta right now, and also people the most likely coming to Anaheim. And so the way that I selected them is based off of really relationship, right? I'm looking at people that I know and I can trust, and I actually take what they do and I value them as influencers of not just their channel but of the market. And I've looked at all their platforms. I know them intimately because we are in good relations. I'm not going to say that they're all my friends, right? But they're all people that I know well enough to feel confident that they will do well in this campaign. Right. And so I looked at them as, okay, what are they as streamers? What are they as influencers? And what kind of impact can they make from, their community standpoint? And is this going to be something that's going to be beneficial to them? Because what I don't want is I don't want to give it to someone who has a smaller community and then them get discouraged because they can't hit those numbers that we need them to. So from an expanding standpoint, I would say that's going to be a case-by-case basis. And we're going to do it based off of events that are coming up. So we'll look to expand and move to new influencers in the market probably next year once this first campaign's done. But that's really going to depend on the different factors that we have come into play. And I'm not just going to go randomly pick someone, right? Just because you have a large following doesn't mean you're going to be a good fit for this program.
No, I mean, I think that's one of something we've talked about on the show a bunch of times over the last couple of years or so. Is actually, we talked a lot about this. I did a live show at PAX East earlier this year where it talked about the different size influence and stuff like that, and how it seems like marketing and PR and stuff, particularly in the game industry, but even surrounding that, it's starting to have this realization that a large audience does not equal sales, does not equal, right. It doesn't equal actual engagement. You could have a person who has only 100 followers, but they're the 100 most active followers you've ever seen in your life, or a person who has 100,000 and like 3 people actually engage with campaigns, because that's not what they're there for. So picking and choosing is the best way. I mean, you could also just put up a Google Doc, as some places do, and just see what flows through, because I've seen way too many campaigns and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I want to be strategic, right? Because I don't want to just open up a Google Doc and let everyone apply.
Sure.
I mean, that's one, I have to go through all those applications. And 2, I then have to vet every single one of those people. And what I mean by vet is make sure, 1, they're not going to be harmful to Dreamhack, right? Mm-hmm. 2, they're not going to be harmful to the brand that we have and what we're trying to do. 3, make sure that they have the traction and engagement that we're looking for. So that means I have to do a lot of analytics and scrubbing of data in order to really refine and find out whether they're valuable and worth our time. And then 3, I want to make sure they're not jerks.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I don't want to work with a bunch of toxic people. And that's pretty much the status quo that I've come to live by, is that I want to work with cool people and just do cool stuff.
I mean, that's kind of, I think, the best mentality to have. That's the best way to go about anything in any industry, but particularly in this industry, which does have the proclivity towards toxicity. It's work with people who are passionate, interesting, and then also, you know, you can help and they help you, and you can work nicely together. What's better than that?
Exactly.
So I was thinking about this while we were talking. Do you have a favorite moment or moments from your last couple of years of DreamHack? You know, a cool thing you saw, a cool piece of content, you know, somebody did with programming, or a guest, or just a happenstance moment. One or more things may like stand out for you.
Being able to actually one of my favorite moments so far. There's actually a couple I have, but one of my favorite moments so far is in Montreal. We actually helped to raise $10,000 for a charity that only raises like 125 a year, and so we literally helped impact them in such a significant way that the lady who was running the charity started crying, and I was like, please don't start crying, you're gonna make me cry, and then this is gonna get emotional. And then the kid who actually was the ambassador, Jean-Gilles, personally, like he couldn't stop hugging me, and I'm like, dude, like it's totally cool, I'm totally fine. Like he's like, no, you don't understand, like I was dying of cancer and these people saved me, and the fact that you're helping us out is amazing. And I'm like, I'm not taking the credit here. I literally helped organize this. But he's like, no, you helped organize it and put all this on, so you're the person who matters the most. I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, and it was awkward, but it was also super cool because
like beautifully awkward almost.
Right. It was, and I don't like being the front line, which is part of my problem. Because I've always been.
Own it like you, and you just go right back. It's like, no, you're breathtaking.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like I don't want to be that guy that looks like I need to have the credit for everything, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's not my MO.
I identify with that strongly.
It's hard for me to take credit for stuff. It really is, and it's something I've had to work on personally because other people take credit for the stuff that I've done, and that's been frustrating. In of itself, and it's part of the reason why Kevin pushed me to even do this, because he's like, dude, you need to be out there more, you need to actually do more, because you have a lot to offer, and you know you are more than just a guy who's doing basic things. You're changing the market and impacting things. And I was like, I don't really see it, but okay, Kevin.
I mean, you know, I'd have to turn this into a Kevin fandom podcast because Kevin's booked a few guests for us, and this might turn into a feature for a little bit. Yeah. But no, Kevin has that ability to point out the greatness within us. He sits me down every now and again and is like, no. So I appreciate that. And to be clear, I was very happy when he was sending me a list of people, and he's like, and Aaron from Dreamhack, and I'm like, I know Aaron. Like, I would love to talk. So I'm glad that he got you to recognize that a little bit, and to bring yourself out of that backstage a little bit more.
It's hard.
Oh,
it really is.
I completely and utterly understand that. Yeah, I was thinking like moments from DreamHack and stuff like that, and one of the moments that stands out for me was this past. Which was one in Texas earlier? Was it Dallas earlier this
Dallas,
year? Yeah. In Dallas, and just seeing people like all of a sudden just like, why the hell is Jeff Goldblum here?
Oh my god. Okay, that was an experience in of itself. Okay, yeah. So we were told why he was there. We knew why he was there. I had to kibosh so many people, even though I knew why he was there. I was very well aware why he was there, but yeah, it was. I was like, dude, like everyone's like, Jeff Goldblum's here. I was like, no, he's not. Mm-hmm. Like, no, we actually have pictures of him. Like, no, you don't. Those are fake.
And that's his famous body double.
It was crazy because we couldn't talk about it, but we all know why he was there now because it's now published. Mm-hmm. But it was stuff like Matt from Trivium, the lead singer of Trivium, was walking around talking to him, and that was hilarious too, because everyone's like, wait, why is the lead singer of Trivium talking to Gold? What is happening right now?
it was one of those things where like one of the people from our team just like tweeted like, so I was just walking by and Jeff Goldblum was playing DDR, and I need someone to confirm I need someone to confirm that this actually happened, because like what? And that was like just seeing from a distance. I was just like, should have gone to Dallas.
So, do you guys know cosplayers at all?
Yeah, a few.
So, have you ever heard of Riddle?
Yeah.
Okay, so Riddle's our head judge, and in Dallas, she's a wonderful human being. By the way, she loves squirrels. She has a squirrel rescue thing. I did not know this about her, but she loves squirrels. When I say she loves squirrels, I mean she loves squirrels. She owns like 4.
She is the actual squirrel girl.
Yes. Oh, yeah. She absolutely. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. So I've been hunting her down the entire weekend, because I work heavily with cosplay too, and I was like, I cannot. Every single time I would come into her room, it was like Riddle just left. And I was like, son of a, every single time without fail, no matter where it was. So finally comes the last day on Sunday. And I'm like, okay, where is she? So I call my cosplay lead and I was like, where is Riddle? I know you're with her. Where is she? She's like, oh, she's playing DDR. And I was like, you're messing with me. There is no way she's playing DDR. So I walk over there and Riddle in full cosplay, it's playing DDR on hard. And I'm like, I want to Instagram this right now or something, because I'm just like in shock and awe, but I'm not going to be that guy. And I'm again, not going to be that guy and go and like do that, because she's having fun. And I'm like, I'm not going to go do that. But I waited for her and I was like, you're better at DDR than I am. And I played for years. And she goes, yeah, I know. Thanks, Riddle. Super helpful. But yeah, no, that was a super cool moment as well. I mean, this last Dallas was actually really, really interesting because of what we produced and what we actually had happen. One of the really cool moments was Women of Esports had a packed panel, and that's never happened with us before. And when I mean packed, we had like 70, 80 people waiting to get into the panel room. That's amazing. It was like I think capacity of like 150. So the panel room was packed with 150 people, and there were people waiting to get in.
And then pretty much almost roughly 50% of like the actual size of the room was still waiting.
Right. And so I'm like, I wish we could fit more people in here, because holy cow, it was one of the best attended panels we had, and just phenomenal. And so that's like a tip in my hat, because I was like, yes, we did one right. All right. But it's stuff like that that's, I look at, and it's like, how are we affecting the community? What are we doing? And that's really where I really get my joy, is when I see the positive impact that we have on anyone that I have a hand in. That's where I'm like, that does it for me, right? Because then I know that we're actually doing something right when we have people talking about us after the fact. When we have people talking about us, like literally my entire stream studio from Dallas is at Atlanta, because they're like, we saw what you did in Dallas and we want to be there. So we have people coming from Denver, and these are all volunteers, mind you. We have people coming from Denver and Dallas and all over the United States to be on the team, just to be part of what we're doing. So that speaks volumes to me of the train tracks that we're on and where we're going as a company, because we're no longer just a gaming event. We're a gaming festival. We're a lifestyle festival. And that's huge, because no one else is doing what we're doing.
Well, that was going to be my next question, is so how do you pitch to people who don't attend Dreamhack, or maybe attended it in the past and you want to bring them back? How do you, pitch Dreamhack with all of the events that go on, gaming or otherwise?
I mean, our internal thing is that we're a nonstop party, right? Like literally we look to have fun 24/7. And that means from LAN to the arcade to, the late night shenanigans that we have on main stage, whether my boss knows about them or not, to the late night yoga that happens in the stream studio. You never heard that from me. You can never know that actually happened. I'm not going to tell you when it happens. But there's stuff that we do that we try to create that family-friendly community family vibe, right? Of this is Dreamhack, we are a family. We are a community. We're going to come together. We're going to have fun. Like, we're literally going to do fun stuff. And what I really get jazzed about is we are trying to do what PAX was doing in 2019. No, sorry, 2009, right? 2009 PAX was like a highlight for me because they did some super unique, super crazy stuff that I remember. And I want to bring that party vibe of the gaming cycle back to where we have that type of stuff happening, to where there's literally random things no one knows about. And just like, you have to know in order to go do the thing. And that type of stuff really is what we're building and doing. Like the rock paper scissors competition. I'm gonna circle back to that because I'm so incredibly hyped about this.
I was gonna ask you about it in a sec anyway, so please do.
This is part of the reason why I say people need to get hyped about what we're doing, and this exact reason. So I'm gonna walk you through the journey of this and what happened internally, because it's a story.
I cannot wait, honestly.
So we're talking with the guys from Battle and Brew, right? Okay. And they're a local Atlanta brewery, gaming house, and everything like that. Super, super cool. We've worked with them in the past, and we're sitting there on the phone. We're talking about the cosplay competition and stuff, and how we're actually going to help coordinate some of that stuff with our cosplay lead and all that. And Ryan, the store manager, is like, "Yeah, man. So I love doing non-endemic stuff." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean by that?" And he's like, "Well, I run a rock paper scissors tournament once a week, and it we get like 5-10 people to do it, and it's a lot of fun, and I shoutcast it." And I was like, "Bro, that is the dopest thing I've ever heard of." And so my marketing guy was on the phone. I was like, "JV, we absolutely 2,005,000,000% need to run one of these at Dreamhack." And he goes, "Bro, I am so incredibly down with this. You have no idea." I'm like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yes." So we then go
describing it. I'm like imagining drunk history right now.
This is how I'm not like, I'm talking actually, this is like actual chain of events. And so we then talked to Brian, and Brian's like, "Yeah, I'll totally run preliminaries at my show, at my store for the next, umpteen amount of weeks until, we get to that." And I was like, "Bro, we're going to drop you as many tickets as you need to get as many people as we can to Dreamhack." So then we're talking internally again, and I'm talking with JV, my marketing dude. And I was like, "Yo, so, that rock, paper, scissors thing, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Give me $500. He's like, "Why?" And I go, "I'm going to put it as a prize pool." And he's like, "Hell yes, you are." And I'm like, "Damn right I am." So he was like, "Okay, cool. Here's 500. Go." I was like, "Dope." So I then go talk to Alex Bailey, who's the head of our FGC, and say, "Hey, Alex, can you get all of your FGC people to do rock, paper, scissors for a competition of $500? And he said, "Hell yes, I can." I said, "Dope." I said, "Hey, Aaron, can you go talk to the stream studio lead and get them to get all the streamers to do rock, paper, scissors for the finals and do that on stage?" And I was like, "Yes, I can, because I'm the person in charge of that." Okay, dope. Internal conversation in my head, by the way. I then go to the land crew and my head of land, and I was like, "Yo, can we get the land people to compete in a rock, paper, scissors tournament to be on the main stage for later on Saturday for $500? And he's like, "Hell yes. On top of that, I'm also going to throw you $500. I was like, "Dope. We're now up to $1,000 on the prize pool for a rock, paper, scissors competition." I then go to my boss and I go, "Yo, I need an hour on the main stage," our $85,000 main stage where all of our music acts actually happen and is produced on dreamhack.com for Twitch. Yeah, that stage. I said, "I need an hour of of this time on here so I can run a rock, paper, scissors tournament." And he's like, "No." I said, "Excuse me, we're doing this." And he goes, "No, you're not." And I said, "There's an hour right there." And he's like, "No, there's not." And I said, "Yes, there is." And so we went back and forth for about like 20 minutes. And he said, "Fine. If you can give me one good person that's going to shoutcast this, I'll do it." I said, "Done. Saving the Bees is going to come out and help us shoutcast it." If you don't know who that is, go look him up. Okay. A friend of mine. And so I called Brian. I was like, "Brian, you want to come shoutcast rock, paper, scissors?" He's like, duh. So now we have him on board, and you guys aren't supposed to know any of this. Oh, yeah, whatever. Doesn't matter. So then then I'm like, okay, so how else can we do this? So then on top of it, I was like, yo, hey, indie developer people. I talked to my my counterpart Sid, and I said, hey, can we get like indie developers to like do secret missions to where like they have to go find the indie developers and do rock paper scissors against them to play in the competition? She's like, heck yes we can. I was like, dope, what else can we do? I then went to our crew head of crew, and I was like, yo, hey, can we get all of crew just to like rock paper scissors for this? And she's like, yes we can. I was like, dope. So now it's gone from literally a conceptual idea that we had back 4 months ago to now we literally are about to announce $1,000 rock paper scissors tournament on our $85,000 main stage production with shoutcasters at Dreamhack Atlanta. That is the journey of what we do. So this is the type of stuff that like it's tons of fun for me, because I'm able to take a small idea and then blow that up and go, oh, that's a good idea. We should do that. Let's go. But here's what we could do with it. And that's the story of rock paper scissors.
I mean, you're living the dream, man. That's like that story was amazing. And all I'm just gonna say is about like maybe 30 seconds into describing it, I pulled up, when is Dreamhack Atlanta? I just pulled up the website and I'm like, shit, I know I told my wife I was done with events, but
I mean, honestly, there's no skill involved with rock paper scissors.
No.
And there's going to be some other stuff that's happening because I'm literally making it into a production. Like, it's going to be a full-on production in of itself.
Well, that's the part I care about most is the production. Like, the tournament's cool, but like just what you're doing surrounding it, this tournament is amazing.
I'm literally just like, how do I make a festival-wide competition that everyone can participate in?
Yeah,
everyone. And that, like, my boss is like, this is never going to work. And I said, the hell it won't. I was like, dude, do you not understand how many people are going to want to do this? And he's like, no, apparently I don't. I said, as soon as we announce this, the internet's going to lose their mind. Mm-hmm. I'm just telling you right now, because we're going to tag a few people on it and then they're going to retweet it. And then we're going to have a bunch of other stuff happen. And you're going to see the trickle effect. And he's like, nah, that's not going to happen. I was like, you don't understand gamers. You clearly do not understand gamers. Mm-hmm.
No, like this is high meme potential right here.
Right.
Like this
I was like, dude, there's so many things we could
do. I already know a few people who are going to lose their shit once you like officially announce this.
Yeah, so it's going to be hilarious, and I'm going to laugh my ass off. I'm absolutely, this is one of the things that I like look forward to when I can do crazy, like off the wall ideas like this. Mm-hmm. That just no one thinks gonna work, but then they work, and like, how did you do that? And I'll be like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's all good. So, you got crazy ideas and awesome stuff happening with Dreamhack coming up. You're exploring. Where do you see, Dreamhack itself, or even just like kind of a event / gaming festival, lifestyle culture, like going, in the next couple of years? Do you see? Do you think that kind of stuff is continuing to grow, or is it starting to plateau, just from your experience?
It depends on who you're looking at, right? And what I mean by that is, for instance, PAX has become very commercialized in a lot of ways, and that's because it's run by ReedPop. No offense to ReedPop, but they are literally only focused on the money. So they've lost sight of the community in a lot of ways. E3, similar stakes. They've looked at the community. They're not really focused on the community, and so that's one. I would say the two major events that we're really looking at that's like kind of an issue overall, but really that's where we're different. We're looking at it from a community standpoint. How do we actually engage with community? How do we make them feel like they're part of what we're doing and the journey that we're going on? And that's where our core differences deter from everyone else, because with everyone else, they're like, okay, let's look at this from a money standpoint. And we look at this as, let's look at from a community standpoint. How do we engage with the community? What cool shit can we do that makes the community want to be part of our event and come out and actually like do stuff with us? Things like, True Dungeon. Like that's something, yes, PAX did that, but we're looking to longer term, right? What else can we do with them beyond just this one event that helps to produce further? And that's the main difference, I would say, between us and them. And we're going to continue growing. Despite everything else, I think there's a lot of gaming events that are going to see a hit, especially with their price points getting going up more and more and more. That we're not going to, because we're making it worthwhile for people to come out, because it's not just a gaming event. It's not just a LAN. It's not just a streaming thing. It's not just music. It's not just RPGs. It's a lot of different aspects, a lot of different things that we're doing to try and change how the conversation is being had in the marketplace as a whole, versus other companies who pretty much stopped innovating. Perfect example. I was at TwitchCon recently, and lo and behold, I had my friends from a company come up to me. I won't say who, but they go, "Hey, Aaron, did you set up their streaming stuff?" And I was like, "No." They go, "Huh? You sure?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure." So I walk over there. It looks exactly like my stream studio, and I was like, "That's interesting. I wonder why that is." So. I actually take that as a compliment, because at the end of the day, they're copying me. I'm not copying them, which means that I'm innovating and they're not.
I mean, that's in this kind of thing, in this kind of environment, that's the most important thing.
Right. So that's the difference, is that we're innovating. And so with that, that's why I think the major difference is that if people don't innovate and look at further ways to build and progress and not just settle like some of the events out there have, they're going to start dying off, because a lot of people are going to lose interest in them. Just flat out, like the big companies are going to be like, "Why am I here? You're not giving me any intrinsic value to the community, the people who are my customers. You're not converting people over to being, a customer of mine. You're just making me pay $200,000 to be here at an event that, not anyone's really going to want to go to anymore, because it's just a expo hall."
Yep. I mean, that's what a lot of them are turning into. I mean, that's I live in Phoenix, so we have I don't know what the name is anymore, but whatever our comic convention is over here these days, it's just that's what it's turned into. It's just a gigantic expo hall where it seems like half the damn people, including the vendors, don't actually want to be there. So
they don't. And in talking with a lot of these vendors, they're losing money being there, but because it's marketing, that's what they're spending. But we're going to see a lot of these companies stop going, because they're spending all of this money on marketing that they're not getting ROI on at all. They lose money on these events intrinsically. And so because of that, they're finding online marketing with influencers in general is actually better and more lucrative for them than going to an event. And there's a lot of people saying, "I don't want to buy a booth anymore. I don't want to be physically here. I'm actually losing money being here because I have to fly my people out. I have to build it. I have to keep people here. I have to feed them." Like there's a bunch of core costs, and it's not really effective for them. So that's kind of the issue that a lot of events are going to start running into. And that's when you don't start innovating and giving them other ways to permeate through your event and actually help to support the community itself, you're going to start seeing them fall off, just flat out.
Which you're already seeing with E3 and all that. I mean, from Nintendo taking a step back to not doing a show anymore, but doing the directs, and even Sony get so much traction off of one tweet.
Yeah.
It's like, here's the PlayStation 5, people.
Right. I mean, why do they need E3? They don't.
Oh. That's what a lot of events turn into. I mean, just even from the smaller scale things, our pals Shot Call, who were just on last week, they were talking about, I asked them the question, I'm like, "Hey, you're at TwitchCon. Did you guys have a booth, or what'd you guys do?" And they're like, "There wasn't a need for a booth. We just, with our product, we just wandered around, talked directly to people and stuff like that." And that seems to be a lot of trends I'm seeing, even from larger companies who are like, yeah, we don't have a set floor space. We're just wandering around and meeting the fans and meeting our fellow people or even competitors, because it makes more sense than dropping 10, 20, 30, 40, 100 grand on these spaces that we're just going to lose money on.
Yeah, and I mean that's where, like I said, we're trying to change that conversation. So it comes down to, where is their ROI when it comes to being on site with us? What can we do as an event and as an organizer to help get that community to convert into customers? Because that's ultimately what companies want. They want to know, how are you going to convert these people into being my customer? That is on their mind, whether they say it or not. That is what they want to know. And this comes from being on both sides in sales and being the person who's buying stuff. I know this for a fact. If I was going and looking at a booth at an event, as the head of procurement, I would be like, okay, what is my ROI based off of this? How much am I spending on my employees going out here? How much am I spending on the booth itself? What is the actual marketing dollars I'm going to be getting back in return for this? What other initiatives do we have to run in order to get that engagement? And then what is our 6-month term, right? So if I go and send someone to like a CES for some example, where I have a 10 by 10 booth and I'm spending, I want to say CES was on the cheap side of $7,000 for a 10 by 10. And then if I want internet or anything else or power, that's an additional $200-$300 depending on what I need. And then I have to fly the people out. I have to put them in hotel. I have to do all this stuff and ensure that I'm probably spending $15,000-$20,000 right there just to have a booth. And I understand that fundamentally from start to finish, because I've done that, right? That was literally a year ago that I did that. So I look at that and go, okay, how can we then collaborate with all these other people? What else can we do? How can we build this? What are our next steps? And then how do we continue collaborating?
I mean, makes sense. Your video is, I don't know if it's my end or what, but
I think it's Discord.
I think it's Discord too.
Yeah, Discord's having a time right now, so at least audio is still there.
Man, I don't know. Your video looks all kind of wonky to me.
We had audio for this, so I got one last question related to Dreamhack. A lot of what you guys do. You do a lot, simply put. There's a lot of different, you said, there's so many different types of programming, and, you're kind of expanding from purely gaming to this lifestyle festival. Is there ever a worry, either internally or that you're in any way, shape, or form, that you guys are not focused enough, that it's too broad-based of a festival experience because of the sheer amount of things you're doing?
I don't think we're doing enough, to be perfectly honest.
Fair enough.
I think we need to be doing more. We could be doing more. There's a lot that we could be doing, and ultimately it comes down to, what are we not doing today? What else can we add in? How can we do more? Because you want to appeal to many different audiences as a festival. You want to be able to appeal to pretty much all walks of life from a gaming perspective as well, because you have many different types of gaming. So I would say really it comes down to, what are we doing today? Oh, did I lose you guys?
Oh,
okay. Weird. Discord just flipped out on me.
Yeah, a little bit here as well, but I think it's actually cleared up now.
Yeah. So it's more of, what are we doing today? And then what are we not doing today? And then how do we continue to expand and build what we're not doing? Like, for instance, our tabletop zone. What are we doing in tabletop? How are we expanding that? What are we building out there? Because that's a whole section of people in and of themselves. There's a whole subgroup of people that go and play D&D at events only.
Mm-hmm.
That's apparently a thing.
I know, it's amazing the different subgroups of gamers, and then subgroups of those subgroups of gamers.
Right, but if we can at least touch that, then we'll be able to be successful. Because while we may not have that specific thing that they want to do, we may still have something that they'll still be interested in doing. Watching a live D&D stream that may or may not be happening at Dreamhack Atlanta. Not saying that it is, but there could be things that we're working on to help appease some of those people and help fill some of those gaps. that we have, because like I said, I don't feel like we're doing enough. I feel like we should be doing more, and we should continue to progress and grow and develop and build out the different environments that help support the overall show, and then the community, because there's a lot of crossover between tabletop and gamers. There's a lot of crossover between indies and tabletop. There's a lot of crossover between LAN and all of those different zones, and even music. We're finding a lot of people like listen to rap, which is surprising to me. I didn't know. I don't listen to rap. Apparently a lot of gamers listen to rap. So
yep.
What are you going to do? Yeah, I would say that we're going to always be growing. We're always going to be growing. We're always going to be looking to push to that next level, and what else we can be doing differently, and how we can continue to grow, not just as a festival, but as an event and a community.
I think that's honestly the best way to go about it. As long as you know what you have in mind, and you know, as you said, you're trying to be innovators. You're not trying to be copiers. So as long as you're not just constantly being like, oh shit, PAX is doing this. Oh shit, E3 did this. Oh, this company did this, and just trying to quickly pump it out of the gate. But you're actually like looking at the areas. You're trying to figure out exactly where you need to focus on, what you need to build off of. I think that's always the best way to go about things. Always monitoring and innovating. We've used the word a bunch of times, but it's the best way to go.
Yeah, it really is.
Tempest the Vaz in chat said tons of fans and money left on the table.
I mean, honestly, if you create a fun environment, people just come to hang out.
Yep.
Like at the end of the day, if you do a bunch of fun, cool stuff, like that's all you really need for people to come out and actually do stuff. Because once you create that experience, they're not going to forget that. They're going to want to come back. That is what sells. People are buying experiences now. They're not buying stuff. They're buying experiences. So if you can provide that as an actual event, and you just have a non-top experience roller coaster of stuff going on during the event, that's what's going to get people there.
I mean, it's why, most people I've been doing, going to events now regularly since, I don't know, 2013, I want to say. And for the longest time, my wife's family, other people would ask me, oh, did you buy something there? It's like, no. And it took me until almost 2015, 2016 before I understood what I was buying, that I was, the experience I was going for, that kind of stuff, what I was truly getting out of events. And that's the thing is, I go to events now, even a entirely gaming focused event like PAX West, which we, were just out, that was only a month ago. That's weird. But last month, and, people would ask me at that event, what games did you play, or what, kind of stuff. And it's like, honestly, I just remember talking to people, and I remember the experiences. The games a month and a half out are not standing out to me anymore.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I went, I literally just talked to people. I didn't play any. I played one game, and that was an indie game, and that was Shovel Knight 2. And literally, I was on the indie dev floor the entire time talking to people up there. Like, I enjoy talking with people and having fun and getting out there and just seeing what else they're doing. And then also sharing what we're trying to do differently in the marketplace, because we definitely are trying to change how people think.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's a great approach to have the things. So before we wrap things up, we've been doing a thing for like the last couple of weeks on the podcast called the Wholesome Moment of the Week, and I actually came up with an idea right before the show starts. Starting next week, we're actually going to be putting tweets out before every show in the morning, asking you, the audience, to submit your wholesome thing that happened to you. And I'm just going to throw out just one, and then we'll wrap up the show. Which for me was last week, on the advice of our buddy Kevin Wallace, which we've mentioned a few times. He gave me shit for looking for a job and never having actually put a post on Twitter. And I thought, well, nobody's actually going to do anything with that. And I decided to, put my job hunt, post out there on Twitter. And very shortly, a lot of people in this industry were very loving, and not just retweeted, but wrote lovely comments and were DMing me and stuff like that. And as a person who's been having like a few bouts of depression the last few months, that was like an amazing emotional thing. So just throwing that wholesome little love and bit out into this sometimes negative world at the end there.
That's awesome.
It was nice. It felt nice, and yeah, we'll see what comes of it if the job actually comes out of it. But at least it felt good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Aaron, where can people find you? Where can people find Dreamhack? And feel free to shout out the upcoming events as well.
So I can be found on Twitter, Instagram, and other platforms because literally I live online. I don't not live online. My Twitter is Torben_GG. My Twitch is Torben. My Mixer is Torben_GG because they won't give me Torben yet. Working on that. But yeah, for the most part, I'm literally the only active Torben on most platforms because that's what I do, and so I'm easily to find. The upcoming events we have is Atlanta 2019, which is November 15th through 17th. We have Winter, which is happening in Sweden. That is over Brains Not Working, November 28th through the 1st of December. And then we have Anaheim next year, February 28th. So those are the upcoming events that we have, coming to us near soon. I will say that Anaheim's going to be lit because of the stuff that we're doing. So is Atlanta because we got a lot of stuff coming down the pipe there too.
That's awesome. I have strong plans. I've been told I have to be at Anaheim, and since I live in Arizona, at least currently, that should be easy enough. And seriously, after this damn podcast, I'm very angry with you. I am really wanting to go to freaking Atlanta.
It sounds like I have to go to Atlanta because that should be easy enough for me.
Yeah, you that's easy for you. Not as
skipping a jump.
Not as easy for me. I know one person who lives in Atlanta, so that's...
I mean, I gave you a reason to come out, man. Like, literally gave you a reason, just like, full on, here you go.
I will think about it, and I will see. But as far as we go, thank you all for joining us this week. Constant Calibrating Podcast is live every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on mixer.com/ConCalPod. Join us on Wednesday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern for the Catch All Gaming Podcast show that Justin hosts, usually with me as the co-host, where we talk primarily gaming reviews and stuff like that. It's essentially our gaming water cooler. Make sure you come back here, mixer.com/ConCalPod to check that out. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/ConstantCalibrating. Twitter is at ConCalPod. I'm at Bear Punch. Justin is at Justin_Glorious. Check Instagram, instagram.com/ConstantCalibrating. And come chat with us on Discord at constantlycalibrating.com/Discord. And just as always, if you enjoy the show, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It helps the show out greatly and gets us in front of more listeners. And then whatever platform you're already subscribed on, feel free to hop over to another one, drop us a follow, subscribe, whatever that platform does. Because again, more places, more listeners, more viewers, whatnot, always helps. And with that, dear live audience, we bid you a good sign off.